news that there's widespread cynicism amongst young people when it comes to politics. To make matters worse, the way they're being portrayed in the media is not particularly encouraging either, especially when there's talk about hoodies or knife crime. Nonetheless, most people would agree that young people do have a lot to offer to society, but aren't given the credit for all the good work that's already well underway. A couple of weeks ago, the Youth Citizenship Commission was set up to help Parliament in finding solutions to tackle these problems. So we at Catch-21 thought it was high time to address the issue of young people in society and spoke to Bridget Prentice from the Ministry of Justice. One of the recurring issues whenever there's talk about young people is their reputation. One common point of view is that the vast majority have to suffer the consequences of bad behaviour shown by only a few. What do you think can be done to improve the image of young people, particularly when it comes to the media?
You know, I think the media have a real responsibility to start treating young people more fairly. Something like over 70% of all media stories about young people are negative, and quite clearly not over 70% of young people are doing criminal activities or misbehaving or causing people problems. So there's a big responsibility on the media to give a much fairer judgment of young people. And I see young people in my constituency and around the country, and not only are they working hard at school or they're contributing in some way, some of them are carers and taking on real responsibilities. And I just wish that the media would start portraying young people far more as the dynamic, diverse, caring, thoughtful people that they really are.
The Youth Citizens Commission was handed the task to examine ways in which young people can get more involved in society. This statement would suggest that as it stands, youth engagement is not as great as it could be. Would you agree with this statement? And if so, why do you think this is?
Well, I do agree with the statement to some extent that we do want to see young people participating more in society, and usually we're talking about in politics and helping making decisions and so on. But actually there's another part to that, which is that young people already do participate in society in a lot of ways by volunteering, perhaps through youth organisations or single issue groups that they're involved in. A couple of weeks ago I was with a group of young people in my constituency who were clearing the river of an insidious plant. I've been with young people who have taken part in the National Youth Parliament competition, who are expressing strong views about some of the big issues of the day. So I think there are two things to that. One is, let's try and find out just how many young people are already participating in their society and making a contribution, but also encouraging others to do so as well.
Do you think there exists a positive relationship between how well informed young people are and the degree to which they get engaged in society?
Actually, I'm not sure that there is. I think young people are far better informed than I certainly was when I was their age, which admittedly is a very long time ago. But I think generally young people are quite well informed, and they've got access and they know how to get access through the internet for information. But I don't think that stops them. I don't think that stops them having an opinion anyway. And I often say to people that the idea that young people aren't interested in politics is just rubbish, because if you ask their opinions about things, you know, whether it's knife crime or drugs or how they think politicians ought to behave or what their employment chances are or whether or not they should go to university, they've got strong views on that, and they have got ideas about how some of the problems within those areas ought to be solved.
The Youth Citizens Commission concluded its report by making some recommendations to Parliament. One recommendation was to include civic service into the national curriculum. Could you maybe tell us a little bit about what civic service is and your views on the issue?
Well, I think that's probably quite a good idea. What the Youth Commission found was that citizenship classes, although they are taking place all over the country, are a bit patchy in terms of what they actually offer young people and whether or not they really teach people a great deal. And that's partly because we're still training teachers specifically in citizenship as a curriculum subject. So I think getting involved in civic society is really very important, because everything that we do, whether it's in government or in local government, directly affects young people's lives as much as it does other people's lives. The amount of money that's spent, whether it's in schools or whether it's on transport or whether it's on housing or whatever it might be, has a direct impact on everybody's life. And so getting involved and understanding what that's about is really important, even if it's only in order to be able to go and say either, I've got a problem and I want you to solve it, or I have a question and I want you to answer it, or better still, I think strongly enough about this, I want to do something to change it and actually participate themselves. So I'm all in favour of encouraging civics in schools.
There you have it. Young people do and can make a difference. As usual, we want to hear your views and thoughts on the issue, so log on to catch21.co.uk to have your say.